It's 6 o'clock, and at this time I'll call the regular meeting of the Perry City Council for Tuesday, November the 6th, 2018 to order. We have a quorum this evening. At this time I would ask you to join us in standing for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. The prayer this evening will be by Councilman Robert Jones.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for the opportunity to live in the city of Perry. Lord, we ask now that, God, you would fill this place with your Holy Spirit. Lord, that you would help us to lead the city in the best way that would glorify your name. And remind us all, Lord, that no matter the outcome of tonight's election, that you, Lord Jesus, are still King. And that's what matters. Lord, we ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Councilman William Jackson leads in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 4 on our agenda this evening is recognitions and presentations. Item 4A is recognition of Captain Keith Dykes for 25 years of service. Chief Lynn.
Mayor Pro Tem, would you join us up front?
Got to get in the middle here.
I'm trying to put you in the middle, you know, like I always do. So tonight, we're honoring Captain Dykes, who did 25 years of service with the city of Perry a couple of weeks ago. And he is part of the command staff of the police department. He joined Perry PD as a young man, straight out of Georgia Southern University, and has been here ever since. He's active in the community. He's real involved with his kids in sports and in officiating in his copious free time, which I don't know when that is, because they do this travel ball thing now with Allie Ray, where they're just all over the state and all over the southeast, it seems like, at any given point in time. But he's an integral part of Perry PD. He runs our criminal investigation division, as he has for a number of years. I never worry when the phone rings in the middle of the night whether they're going to have things covered or not. They're just calling to kind of give me the lowdown on what's happening, because I know they're already on top of it and they're working hard, and they've got a great track record of clearing cases. Large part of what makes Perry the safe place that it is. We can talk and talk and talk about his dedication to the city. He's a captain, so he doesn't necessarily have to be out there at 4 o'clock in the morning, but he is. Or maybe it's on Saturday or Sunday or midnight or whatever it is. All hours, whenever it calls for, he saddles up and he goes. I think he goes to the gym at midnight too, but I'm not quite sure how that he's in there, because he'll call me late at night and say, well, I was at the gym and there was a call that came out, so I'm headed that way. We've got other people here that want to say some things, and we'll get to that in a minute. Mayor Pro Tem Walker, would you like to say something before we get into the pinning part, or?
Yes, we have been friends for about 13, 14 years since we got back. I have told you a number of times personally how much I really appreciate your dedication, but I can't truly tell you how much I appreciate what you do every single day. We know that you guys put your life on the line for us, and we appreciate that. We can't thank you and your families enough for what you do for us, and I think people need to recognize that each and every day when they see you out there working. You've done a great job with the Perry PD, and I can't tell you how happy we are that you've decided to stay here for 25 years, and I hope you decide to stay for a little while longer.
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
It's our pleasure.
He said, unfortunately, it's probably 25 more. That's a topic for another time. I depend on Heath a lot. He's a key player in our department. But he doesn't do it by himself. We always try to recognize the families. and the families are a key part. So I know you've got family members here. Will you introduce them to everybody?
Oh, well, this is my wife, Gay, my daughter, Allie Ray, my son Trevor. He couldn't get off tonight, so he's working. He's trying to be a farmer, so they're trying to get cotton up and peanuts up, so he's in Hawkinsville doing that right now. But behind them is my dad, Alton Dykes. They're from Hawkinsville. My mom, Vicki Dykes, from Hawkinsville. They live in Hawkinsville, and very supportive. Always have been, and always, whether it's what I want to hear or not, they always tell me the truth, shoot straight with me. And that's been a big help in my career. Behind them is Mr. Jack White and Sherry White. Mr. Jack is the reason I'm here. 26 years ago, I got assigned to his office, which is Region 13. Jack was the SAC of the GBI office here. And I can't thank him enough how instrumental he was in my career in shaping and molding me to want to do the right thing always and go the extra mile. I mean, there's several things that he taught me in my career early on that inspired me to stay here and continue to work on the my career and you know, basically work on myself as an investigator, a police officer, and become the person I am today. Also, my staff is here. Lieutenant Ezel, Mike Hampson, David Blair, Major Phelps, Jack Johnson, Jason Jones, Constance. All of them, I mean, I can't say enough good things. Miss Gale, there you are, Miss Gale. I knew if I started naming people, I was going to get in trouble. Miss Gale keeps me straighter than anybody in this room, so I can tell you right now, without Miss Gale, I definitely wouldn't be here today. I missed a lot of appointments. But all in all, that, I mean, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and keep y'all, but I mean, this great group of young men and women that we have here, I can't say enough. Mr. Walker's talking about the dedication and the selfless service that they do to the community. These people, like Chief said a while ago, 3, 4, Thanksgiving. Me and Ezel spent Christmas Eve, my son's very first Christmas Eve on a murder case. I mean, we've done it all, and they come out here, and they don't. When I call, they just say, "Yes, sir. Tell me where to be," and they're 10-8 coming in. So that says a lot. And to have men and women that are willing to do that and go the extra mile and do the things they do. And I want them to be recognized, because the only reason I'm successful is because of them. And I appreciate everything they do. Mike Amsley, I told him I'm going to try to catch him. He's at 40 years, so I'll be at 43 when I leave here, so maybe I'll catch him one day. But anyway, I appreciate him and Miss Kelly for coming out. I know she hasn't been feeling well lately, and that means a lot to see them here today. So thanks for coming out, Miss Kelly.
In addition to graduating from Georgia Southern, which we mentioned earlier, diehard Bulldogs fan.
Oh, yeah.
Graduate of Columbus State University with a master's degree, and the Georgia Command College and the FBI National Academy. So, extremely well trained, extremely qualified, does a great job with a lot of family support. Gay, would you like to come up and pin him with this 25-year pin? And it's got a little sticky thing on it, so it's up to you.
Where is it?
Pocket right there, all the work. Yeah, it's real gold.
Sell it tomorrow.
Thank you.
And,
Before you sit down, I
Yes.
would like to give you a small token of our appreciation for you and your family for the hard work that you do each and every day in supporting them. So you get to control that and
I
make
got
the
it.
decision who gets to go with you.
I got it.
But we do thank you very, very much
Thank you.
for your commitment as a family.
I'd like to thank Mr. Wooden and Miss Becky Wood to come out and always to support law enforcement, and take pictures of us. And
You got to work on the chief a little bit. This old man can't stay down there.
I
I'm just trying to give you lots of opportunities for good pictures.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank also Chief Lynn for supporting me and my endeavors, and also, you know, every time I come to him and tell him what I need, you know, he's on it, and, you know, he's big into training, he's big into education, he's big into getting us the equipment we need to do our jobs. And I know y'all all play a vital part in all that, and I appreciate all y'all do to help provide us with the best equipment that this department can have. So I know without y'all's support, we wouldn't be where we're at. So, thank you.
I know we have people who want to address.
Right.
Can I ask if there's any council members that have any comments before we move to the audience?
Just appreciate you. Thank you for everything you do, okay?
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I want to thank you for the job you do in the city and for being the great neighbor that you are. I guess it was 25 years ago.
That's it.
Bought the house right across the street. For me, it's been great neighbors.
Good to have a guy that owns Ace Hardware as a neighbor, because he's always got everything you need. I wear him out over there.
Appreciate you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Captain, it's evident by the people in this room tonight, the support that you have in this community and the job that you've done, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do, and you know we go a long way back.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I appreciate you.
Thank you, Ms. Bynum.
I just want to commend you, Heath, not only the fine job and everything that you've done with the people here, but the excellent reputation you have out in the community.
Yes.
I think that really benefits and helps our police department immensely to have the quality professional leadership that you've provided and the respect that all the aspects of the community have for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just, Heath, I would like to thank you for your friendship. We've
Yes,
been
sir.
friends a long time. You've helped me a lot in my endeavors with the city, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Mr. Walker.
So, Inspector Jack White, GBI retired.
I'm Jack White, and I met Heath, I knew I was quite 26 years, but anyway, it was a long time ago. He came into my office as an intern. He was a senior in the criminal justice program at the university, and I tell you, I commend Perry for seeing the talent that you have there, and I'm so pleased that of the kind of officer he's turned out to be. Even as an intern, he was very green, as all interns are, but he had such a tenacity about him and wanting to accompany my agents out on crime scenes and conducting interviews and interrogations. And I can remember talking to him after he would come back into the office from being out in the field working, and even as an intern, he had insights into these criminal personalities and to offender behavior, and he's just an outstanding young man. And I was so pleased that my hometown, the city that I've chosen to live in, would see the value of him. He's just an extraordinary young man, and so committed. I occasionally meet him for lunch somewhere or bump into him, and he's always so available. He often gets calls and has to break away and take care of business, but he's so committed and willing to do that. So I commend you, Heath. I love you as a son, as the young man that you are, and the mature police officer you've become. And I thank you for your commitment to public service.
Major Phelps, do you have anything you want to say?
Yes, I met Heath 25 years ago, and I just want to make it short. We got the best detective division in the state of Georgia at this department. And all the guys and ladies that work for him, they do an outstanding job under his leadership. They work good together, they work as a team, and there's nothing that happened in Perry that we haven't solved. I think we got one that we still working on, but when it all comes down to the end of the day, we always get the person that need to go to jail. And I want to thank Heath for the fine job that he does. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't know if I'm We're calling everybody, but I think mom and dad get a chance if y'all want, because you've known him longer than anybody.
He, as a young high school student, was attracted to law enforcement. He used to take his date gay home, call me at 11:15 and say he was going to ride around with Billy Cape. Billy Cape was the deputy sheriff in Pulaski County, and he worked the night shift almost exclusively. And he could ride around with Billy to whatever time and come tap on the door and say, I'm home. And he has pursued his ambition and his passion through his life and through his career. And I am proud, and his mother is proud of him. We were always proud of him, but we are proud of him not only as a son and as a father and a husband and citizen, but as a police officer. And you have been a very good son. Appreciate you. Love you. Your mama loves you.
Thank you.
You get the last word if you want.
I'm just thankful to have a great place to work like this, and the great employees and the support that I have. I've been blessed, And look forward to finishing out my 17 here and retiring one day.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your service.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Walls, if you don't mind, we're going to step out and take some pictures.
Well, I was going to say that I know this is probably the most exciting thing that's going on in Perry tonight. But if people, would like to leave and after, with the ending of the ceremony, that's perfectly all right. We understand people have things they need to get done this evening. So. Item 5 is community partner updates. Is there any community partner here this evening that would like to address council at this time? This is for community partners. Is it for citizen input or community partners such as the chamber?
Citizen input.
Okay, well, that will be next on our issue, so we'll look forward to having you speak at that time. Is there any other community partners that would like to address council at this time? Thank you. Item 6 is citizens with input. Anyone that is here that would like to address council at this time, I would encourage you to stand up and give us your name and give us the topics that you'd like to talk about.
My name is Jennifer Heidenreich. I am the current president for the Georgia Mill Homeowners Association. We have been made aware that a home in our subdivision has turned into a boarding house for troubled youth. I was notified about this about 2 months ago. It is 215 Flowing Meadows Drive. And we've had a lot of police activity at this residence. Within the past couple of weeks, I think most people that live in the subdivision know that Matt Arthur Elementary and Veterans Elementary were locked down for several hours due to 2 subjects that were possibly pointing a firearm at each other being located in the subdivision. It was discovered that 2 of the teens that are at this residence were the ones that were pointing BB guns at each other as people were exiting to take their children to school. It was discovered that they were from 215 Flowing Meadows Drive. We also discovered that in this boarding house, to my knowledge at this point in time, there are only 5 children, I want to take that back, teenagers, going from 16 to possibly 21 at this location. But during the day, the teenagers that are not in school, when the adult leaves, they're kicking the teenagers out of the residence and they're wandering the neighborhood all day until the adult comes back. we were not made aware that this house was being brought to the neighborhood. And from what I've been told, they have applied for a state license to house more teenagers at this location. We're already having multiple problems with police having to come out there multiple times a week because the teenagers are not being controlled. There's not proper supervision in this house. We are to a point we don't know what to do. We were advised by code enforcement to start a petition. We've spoken with a lot of the homeowners, and I know a lot of people are not happy. We don't know what to do, but this needs to be taken care of, because if there's not proper supervision at the residence, if there was proper supervision, we would not be here today. We wouldn't even know about it. But with an adult leaving and kicking teenagers out during the day, and they're just wandering around, it's turning into a big issue that I don't know how to handle it. I know a lot of Perry PD, they have been out there. They have responded to this location. And I know last week they were out there. It was at least
Three times.
We're not happy. And I know, at this point, I did speak with the homeowner because he's renting the house out to Fletcher Consulting Services. He knew about it. He said the only thing he gave me was the number for the lady who runs it in Atlanta to contact her. If the police are out there, we're getting told that the kids are uncontrollable. A counselor told one of the homeowners here that. What options do we have at this point?
Mr. Gilmore, would you work with Mr. Wood to determine what options they may have, or have Mr. Wood contact them?
Yes, I would.
We will get back with you.
For those, excuse me a second,
Okay.
for those of you all who are here relative to this issue, if you could leave your contact information with Mr. Smith, then what we find out we'll be able to send out to you. So there won't be any delay, you won't necessarily have to come. You're welcome to come back, don't get me wrong, but I think the first thing we need to do is find out what are the options to go in and address the situation that you have in your neighborhood. So if you could just make sure you leave your contact information with Mr. Smith, we'll get back and let you know as soon as we find out.
Is there anyone else who would like to address? Yes, sir. Can I have your name and address, please?
Yes, I'm Ray Santina, 309 Floyd Meadows Drive, in Kathleen subdivision. I think one of the concerns is the fact that the area is residential. If there's any compensation that the individual who is in that home is receiving, to me it translates to conducting business, and the residents, the residential area is purposefully for and focuses on residing rather than such type of intense business. If there's any compensation for having those young men in the home and within the community, that's another concern.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to address council?
Hi,
Yes.
I'm Jeanette Carmen. I live in proximity to the house in question, and we live in a very nice community. It's family oriented. The kids are outside playing all the time. I mean, we just love our community. And, we are concerned about safety issues and whether the house is in compliance, and whether the kids are getting the supervision that they need. It's evident by the amount of police activity. My kids were locked down at their elementary school, which is terrifying for me, terrifying for them. And we just want to make sure that they're in compliance, and we really have ran out of resources. So we're reaching out to you to hopefully help us out with that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Excuse me, anyone else?
So David Luster, I live in 212 Long Meadow Drive, so I'm basically across the street diagonal. And I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old son that I can't let play in the front yard anymore. So we feel very much in our house trapped to a point. You know, they didn't ask for this, they're just kids trying to play, and I can't really let them in the front yard anymore, and I don't really feel comfortable in the front yard. And we're even, you know, the concern is, you know, if we look to move the next year or two, if this gets out, there's a boarding house in the neighborhood, the market knows that. We'll have, nobody will be able to sell their houses, because nobody's gonna know when you move into a neighborhood that has this going on there. So, yeah, we're definitely out of options, and, you know, we're all trying to raise children in this neighborhood, and feel like we're getting trapped in it. We're not really able to let them just play.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address council at this time?
Good evening to everyone. I like to address
Ms. Wolfock, your name and address,
Okay,
please.
my name is Darren Ann Wolfock. I live at 926 Street, Perry, Georgia. Glad to have Mr. Walker back on the board. And God good all the time. And I was talking to the people that the housing got fixed and everything. And one of my neighbors said she loved that Central heat. That's a blessing. And it's still over there on Gene Street working on the housing. And the guys that working, they're doing a fabulous job, because I go and look. I get out and look. They're doing a better job than the other contract that job had. And where is the mayor? He been out 3 times. He's sick?
He's ill this evening.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
So I hope everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. And the police and that, well, been here working for 25 years?
25 years.
It ain't easy out there. It's tough, it's rough. Because you can stop some of us, and some of y'all, they have a nasty attitude. I know about that.
Yes, ma'am.
So I keep it in my prayer, and I hope you stay a long time like Mr. Sheridan did. And Mr. Hunt, you had illness in your family. I'm sorry to hear about that.
Thank you.
But you missed the festival. We had a nice time. We rocked and we rolled. But that's not because I mentioned that before. I will mention to the mayor when he comes back up. I'll be leaving the 2nd week in December.
Okay.
And that's all.
Well, we thank you for being here this evening. Anyone else like to address council at this time? Yes, ma'am.
My name's Annalie Jenkins Canner, and I live at 104 Brooks Edge Lane in Georgia Mill subdivision. November 1st, I was taking some trash out to my street where my trash can was, and there was a young man, I'm assuming from the home that we're talking about, was standing on the other side of the sidewalk and just staring at me to the point I was extremely nervous. He had a large chain similar to a nunchuck, swinging it, and just froze and stared at me to the point I put the trash in my husband's back of his truck and turned around and went back to the house. Looked out the window, and he continued to stare at the house and swing his chain. A few seconds later, he took off down the street, kicking trash cans down the road and swinging his chain. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because that is something that is also going on in our neighborhood that has never happened before. And this is a place that we're trying to raise our children and have been very proud to live in. But when you're faced with a situation like that, it's very discouraging. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address council at this time? Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Quincy Williams, 222 Flowing Meadows. Not going to reiterate a lot of the things they said, but I do want to enter that there are a lot of kids in that neighborhood, and I don't feel that they're safe, including mine as well. Just in that corridor where they are, I can think now just sitting here, probably 8 to 10 kids from 1 to 12 years old. And we're talking about teenagers, pretty much men wandering around all day in the neighborhood. Like she just said, kicking over trash cans, the neighborhood's filthy, it seems unsafe, a lot of police activity. So we're just here to try to get some options on some ways to get it resolved.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else would like to address? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, my name is Nicole Bartlett. I reside at 309 Flowing Meadows. Dr. Gina's wife, he spoke earlier. But I just want to mention, I work in the field of mental health. I'm a mental health therapist, and I have noted with some of the activity there, now I have not diagnosed anyone, but I'm well trained where I can recognize when there seem to be some mental health challenges. And I have recognized with some of these young individuals, there seem to be some mental health challenges.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else would like to address council at this time? Thank you. I would like to make sure that you get your information to Mr. Smith so we can communicate back to each one of you effectively. Thank you. Item 7 is appointments and to boards, commissions, and authorities. 7A is mayor and council appointments. This evening, we will be appointing the members to the Houston County Land Bank Board. I will call your attention to the attachments in your board pack. You can see that this land bank, we've been working for some period of time to get it put together with Houston County. This morning, the Houston County Board of Commissioners approved Larry Thompson, Steve Hulbert, and Brian Jones as the representatives from the county. And members that we would recommend to this body from Perry would be our council member Willie King, as well as Penny Bird, who is with the State Bank. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept these appointments to the Houston County Land Bank.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. This recommendation was approved unanimously. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. We really look forward to working with the county and putting this land bank into action and solving some of the issues that we have both in the city of Perry as well as the county. Item 8 is public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide any interested parties with an opportunity to express their views and concerns in accordance with OCGA Section 3667A-3C. At this time, I will call this public hearing to order. And item 8A is a proposed renaming of portions of U.S. Highway 341 due to the Georgia Department of Transportation rerouting of that road. Mr. Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, council members, citizens. There are two portions of what currently is identified as US 341. One portion is the south portion, which generally runs as an identification from Perry Parkway coming into Keith Drive or that area right around there. And there's another portion of 341 which is that we identify as North 341 for us, which runs from approximately Mason Terrace out to Perry Parkway. We have been advised by Georgia DOT that they are going to be changing the 341 route to shift it over onto Perry Parkway. And so therefore those portions that currently have the 341 identification name no longer will be in effect. We have sent notices out to all the affected property owners to advise them of this public hearing. Purpose of the public hearing, as Mayor Pro Tem has indicated, is to get any public input if there is some. The recommended name change would be to continue how the streets are known in the city of Perry. So therefore the south portion would be named Main Street, and the north portion would be a continuation of Sam Nunn Boulevard going out to Perry Parkway. And that's basically it.
Any questions for Mr. Gilmore relative to this change in street?
Okay, there's one other thing too. One of the possible concerns, I'm not saying that there is whether this is an indication of some type of annexation that the city of Perry is going to be doing, and the answer on that is absolutely not. This does not have anything to do with any annexation. That's a totally different process. This is just to rename the road. It'll be more appropriate since the 341 designation is going off.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this name change? Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition to this name change? Yes, sir. Would you name your name and address, please?
Name is Jacob Frazier. I live at 2081 U.S. Highway 341 South, where the address is affected. I more or less have a question, not so much in opposition, but of why is this going on? What is the rationale behind this change? From the letter I got, it seemed to indicate, and then I misread it, that the city had requested this from various agencies, such as the Post Office and GDOT. That's not the case, and fine, but my question, bottom line, is why is this being done? Why is the rerouting going on that's going to cause our addresses to be changed?
Mr. Gilmore, do you want to?
Certainly.
I think you indicated that.
The city did request Georgia DOT to take a look at this. The concern that the city has is with the designation of 341, there's a high propensity for truck traffic to come in down that street and in through downtown. The second problem is on the portion of 341 right in the downtown area. It has a tendency to get crowded with traffic, and it also is difficult for the city to conduct a number of its different type of operations, like some of the festivals, for example, or events that citizens request, because we have to get an okay from DOT each time we're talking about having some type of event. We're going to block off the street. The original plan that the city had to DOT was just take out the downtown area and not affect some of the other outer areas, but the DOT would not accept that. They said if there's going to be some type of change that's going to be made, it has to tie back into their network. And so therefore, that's why you have the shifting over onto Perry Parkway. The plan is that Perry Parkway currently is designated as Business 341. That will be taken off, and that will just become 341. And that was the rationale that we provided to the Georgia Department of Transportation. They had that reviewed, the commissioner reviewed it, and there's also a national agency that reviewed it, and their determination was it was reasonable. From their perspective. I know not necessarily from yours, but from their perspective.
Well, my concern or my interest was that since we're not officially in the city of Perry, that we're in the county, the request was, we would understand when it came from the county to have our address changed. So I was trying to understand the rationale when the city is asking this, and I know it won't be the city technically changing our address, it'll be the post office and Georgia Department of Transportation. So I was just trying to understand the reason and rationale for that. If I may ask one other question, do you know the timetable for when these changes are going to be official? Because I don't believe the letter expressed that, or they might not have known it.
Okay, let me answer, if I may. Let me answer the first question on that. The reason it's coming from the city is that the street itself is in the city. I know the residents on the side are in the county, but the street itself is a city street. So that's why the request is coming and we're handling it. On the second question, we anticipate the change to be done sometime after the first of the year. Like, for example, as a sidebar, we got contacted by Georgia DOT. They're going to be changing the name of the Thompson Road exit. Everybody know where that one is? Mm-hmm. They're going to be changing that to, I guess, North Perry Parkway. North Perry Parkway. It's all part of this redesignation. As far as the city is concerned, relative to the name change, we will not expect or have anything done with that until Georgia DOT actually makes that change designation. When they do that, we're advised about that. We'll also contact all the affected property owners to let them know.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition of this? Thank you. This public hearing is now closed. Item 9 is consent agenda items. 9A is the council consideration of minutes for October 16, 2018 pre-council meeting and October 16, 2018 council member meeting. Members, each one of you have been provided with the minutes to those meetings. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any changes, deletions, or additions to these minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as written, please indicate by raising your right hand. Thank you. Minutes are approved unanimously. Item 10 is old business. 10A is old business for the Mayor Pro Tem Randall Walker. I have none. 10B is from council members. Ms. Bynum Grace?
I have none.
Mr. Jones?
No, sir.
Mr. Hunt?
No, sir.
Mr. Jackson?
No, sir.
Mr. King?
No.
Thank you. Item 10C is any old items from the city manager.
No, sir.
Item 10D is any old business from the assistant city manager, Mr. Smith, and I think he is out of the room at this time getting some information. Is there any old business from the city attorney, Mr. Walker?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Item 11 is new business. 11A is matters referred from the November 5th, 2018 work session and November the 6th, 2018 pre-council meeting. Mr. Gilmore, I do not think there was any items coming from either one of those meetings that we have to address this evening. Is that correct? Thank you. Item 11B is ordinances for the first reading and introduction. 11B1 is the first reading of an ordinance to modify City Code Chapter 15, Article 6, transient merchants, and Article 9, fruit stands, to provide for the sale of processed nuts and to modify the locations at which fruit stands and vegetable stands may operate. Mr. Gilmore.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, citizens and council members, this is a first reading of an ordinance. This ordinance is coming to you based on some concerns that have been expressed to the city over time about merchants that come in, set up portable locations for the sale of vegetables and fruits, but also some semi-processed. The most recent one would be the Hardy Peanuts. When they came in, you may remember talking about boiled peanuts, and how our ordinance currently follows what the State Department of Agriculture defines as vegetables and fruits, which is basically the raw vegetable or fruit. There also was a concern relative to Hardy stand that they had installed at the intersection of Macon Road and Swift Street and Commerce Street. The proposed ordinance that you have for consideration does two things. The first one is it changes the definition for what a fruit stand or vendor would be, that would allow vendors that do processing, initial processing of fruits and vegetables, for example, the boiled peanuts, would be considered as an agricultural. This does not include people who may do canning or any further processing with that. And so therefore that would address the concern about the transient merchants clause, since transient merchants are only allowed in the city on that portion of Sam Nunn Boulevard west of I-75. The second portion of that stipulates that fruit stands, vegetable stands, and those type of operations would be prohibited from any area in the downtown district as it's currently defined. So for example, what that would mean is that if you have any of these type of vendors located at the intersection of Macon Road, Swift, and Commerce Street, that they would be prohibited from being there. There are a number of other locations in the city where they can locate, subject to approval by the property owner, but if it's in the downtown, anywhere in the downtown district, that would be prohibited. That is how it is currently drafted, and that's the purpose for it. And we would advise council members to take it under consideration, particularly the prohibition at that intersection, because that has been a popular location for these type of services.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmore. This is the first reading of this ordinance, and no action is required by the council at this time. It will come before us in our first meeting in December. Item 11C is awards of bids. 11C1 is bid number 2019-7. It's a backhoe. Ms. King?
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem, Walker, Council. The information that you have before you for bid number 2019-07 is for the purchase of a new backhoe for the street department. 2 bids were received, one from McKinnon Equipment and the other from Clint Construction. And upon review by our shop supervisor, shop manager, is to recommend the purchase of the backhoe from the low bidder of McKinnon Equipment for $79,418.78. This item will be financed with the lease purchase proceeds through the GMA lease purchase financing program.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions of Ms. King relative to this bid? If not, this time I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation from the Finance Department relative to purchasing this backhoe for $79,418.78 from McKinnon Equipment in Tifton, Georgia.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor of approving this, raise your right hand. Okay. The bid was approved unanimously. Thank you. The second is bid number 2019-08. It's a 1-ton service body truck. Ms. King?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Walker. Again, this is 2019-08 is for the purchase of a 1-ton service body truck for the meter install crew. We received 2 bids, one from Brennan Motors for $41,028, and the second one from Gen Chrysler Jeep Dodge LLC in the amount of $41,577. Upon review by Mr. Taylor and for the operations of the water install crew, the recommendation is to purchase the truck for immediate delivery from, again, in the amount of $41,577.
Thank you. Any questions on the purchase of the truck? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the truck from Gen Chrysler Jeep Dodge LLC in Covington for $41,577, based upon the stipulation written in the recommendation from the Department Administration that this will be delivered immediately versus 12 to 14 weeks it would take to get the other vehicle.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Bid was approved unanimously. Thank you, Ms. King. We appreciate it. Item 12 is council member items. Ms. Bynum Grace? Mr. Jones? No, sir. Mr. Hunt? No, sir. Mr. Jackson?
No, sir.
Mr. King? No, sir. Thank you. Mr. Gilmore?
No, sir.
Mr. Smith, you're back. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. The city had a very successful fall cleanup this year, as always. I want to thank everyone for their participation. The city actually picked up 21.6 tons of bulk waste, which is up from 18.6 this past year. So a significant uptick there. Very successful event. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a great, we had a great event last Saturday. Mr. Walker, any closing comments? Thank you. Item 13 is department head items. Ms. King, any additional items this evening?
No, sir.
Okay. Chief Lynn, any additional items?
No, sir. Thank you for taking the time to honor Captain Dykes for service.
It's our pleasure. Somebody that spent 25 years putting his life on the line needs a little bit of time to say thank you. We gotta do it every day. Chief Parker, anything for fire?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Ms. Harden,
Yes,
anything
ma'am.
from economic development?
Yes, I have 2 items, and excuse me, I lost my voice. The Main Street Harvest Dinner was the first event that Main Street did last weekend, where they closed off Carroll and had a long table for diners as a fundraiser, so thank you to those of you that were able to attend. The pictures turned out beautifully that the CVB and Main Street and our communications manager will be using for marketing our great city. And the funds used will go for 10 billboards that are going up this week. That'll be off I-75. They'll be in Macon and Warner Robins. And they said to not have them in downtown Perry because people know about Small Business Saturday that are in downtown Perry. So we're really trying to reach other people from a 30 to 45-minute radius. Small Business Saturday is November 24th from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. And there'll be prizes awarded if you get your little ticket and go to all the participating businesses for drawing. So there'll be a monetary prize for that. And then the other item is our City of Perry's Holiday on Carroll event that's on December 8th from 4 to 9 p.m. That's going to be a great event with Santa, fire truck rides, Polar Express movie on the lawn, and hopefully some church and choir groups will be performing. We're encouraging the local businesses to stay up open past 4 o'clock and have extended holiday shopping hours. And there'll be hot chocolate and hot cider vendors and a few other little vendors doing activities and things for kids. The stores are excited about it and they plan to participate. So our events coordinator, Haley, is working hard on that. So
Thank you. I think everybody had a delightful time at the harvest dinner. From everybody I talked to, it seemed to go very, very well, and the weather was perfect. Anything from the city clerk's office, Ms. Warren? Thank you. Did I get everybody? I think I covered everybody here. Item 14 is general public items. Is there anyone here that would like to address council at this time?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Wolf.
Just very quickly, I heard the city manager say that exit 138, because of the route changes and so on, will have a name change. I think I heard you say that. And it's been Thompson Road. What will the new name be? I missed it if you noted it.
North Perry Park.
Well, it's a good name for it. I mean, that's difficult. And thank you, and I would only follow what has just been said. The harvest dinner was a great event. There must have been 85 or so people there, and the food was excellent. And I sat next to the city manager, and we had a nice conversation. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm sure everybody did. Thank you.
Glad that you did. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else that would like to address the council at this time? Thank you. Item 15 is the Mayor Pro Tem items. There's a couple of things I would call your attention to. There is the State of the Community Luncheon that's put on by the Perry Area Chamber of Commerce. That'll be held on Thursday, the 8th at 11:30 at the Houston County School Annex on Macon Road. So if you're interested in hearing those speakers, I would encourage you to contact the chamber and register for that. Outside of that, I do not have any other comments. If there's nothing else to come before us this evening, we will stand adjourned.